Ellen had always prided herself on being a devoted mother and later, a grandmother. She had spent most of her adult life nurturing her two children, making countless sacrifices to ensure they never lacked for anything. From school tuition to birthday gifts, from helping with car loans to contributing to their first homes, Ellen had been the anchor of the family, the one they turned to in times of need. Her daughter, Sarah, and son, Mark, both had families of their own now. Mark was married with two young children, and Sarah had three children, all under the age of 10. Over the years, Ellen had watched her children grow and build their lives, but the financial burden never seemed to ease. Her children had never been extravagant, but they had also never learned to manage money properly. As their parents, Ellen and her late husband had always been their safety net. Ellen was retired now. She had spent the last 20 years of her life working as a secretary for a law firm, and after her husband passed away from cancer, she had carefully set aside a portion of her retirement fund for her later years. She'd always wanted to travel, see places she had only read about, experience the world without worrying about bills or unexpected expenses. But as the years passed, those dreams faded into the background. She was too busy making sure her children didn't struggle. It started innocently enough. A phone call here and there from Sarah or Mark, asking for a little help with groceries, the electricity bill, or an unexpected medical expense. Ellen never hesitated. She loved her children, and providing for them gave her a sense of purpose. But the requests started becoming more frequent, more urgent. And it wasn't just her children. There was always something else. An old friend who needed a loan, a neighbor who was struggling, a grandchild who needed a special school trip funded. Ellen was always there to lend a hand. But in the back of her mind, a little voice began whispering that something wasn't quite right. She wasn't a fool. She had watched her children's spending habits with growing concern. Mark was constantly upgrading his car, Sarah was buying her kids designer clothes, and their houses were filled with unnecessary luxuries. They didn't seem to understand the value of hard work or saving for the future. Ellen's savings account was steadily decreasing, but she pushed her own concerns aside, telling herself she would figure it out later. It wasn't until that fateful call from Mark that everything came to a head. "Mom." Mark's voice crackled on the line. "I hate to ask, but I need some help again. We got a big issue with the car. It's broken down, and it's going to cost at least $3,000 to fix. Sarah's already trying to scrape together what she can, but it's just not enough. Can you help us out this time?" Ellen had been expecting this. Mark had called before with similar stories, his car breaking down, an emergency hospital visit, his kids needing new shoes for school. But something in his voice felt different this time. It sounded urgent, almost desperate. She sighed, running her fingers through her graying hair as she sat in her cozy kitchen. She looked at the family pictures on the walls, the same ones that had been there for years, a reminder of happier times when her children were younger and full of love. "Mark," she said, trying to keep the irritation from her voice. "You know I've been helping you for years, but I'm not sure how much more I can give. I've been living on a fixed income for a while now, and I've still got my own expenses to think about. This money, it's all I've got left for myself." There was a long pause on the other end of the line. Mark's tone shifted, a subtle but noticeable change. "Mom, I get it. I really do. But the thing is, this is just how things are right now. We've been living paycheck to paycheck for years, and we've always counted on you to come through. Honestly, we don't know what we would have done without you." Ellen's heart clenched. She knew it was true. She had always been there, always the one they turned to when they were in a bind. And yet, there it was again, the unspoken expectation. She was the safety net. But what had she gotten in return? "I know you've been there for us, Mom," Mark continued, his voice softening, "but the truth is, we don't have anyone else. We can't do this without you." Ellen blinked back the sting of tears. She had always wanted to be needed, to be the one her children could rely on. But hearing Mark say it like that felt like a slap in the face. It wasn't love or gratitude she was hearing. It was an entitlement, a demand. "I don't want to sound harsh, Mark," she said, her voice trembling with the weight of her words, "but I've been giving and giving and giving, and it's never enough. I've spent my whole life making sure you didn't have to worry about money, but now I'm the one who's been neglected. I'm the one who's been forgotten." There was another pause. Ellen could almost hear Mark's breathing on the other end, a slight shift in the atmosphere. She wasn't sure how to continue, but she couldn't go back.
"Not now."
"Not after everything. I've been helping you for years, and it hasn't been easy."
"But I can't keep doing this, Mark."
"Not like this. You and Sarah have to learn to manage on your own." Mark's voice faltered. "But, Mom, please, we really need you. We don't have anyone else." Ellen's heart broke, but she refused to let guilt cloud her judgment. "Mark," she said, her voice steady now, "you've had me for years. It's time to learn how to stand on your own 2 feet. I've spent enough of my retirement helping you. Now it's time for me to live for myself." There was silence. She could feel the weight of his disappointment, but she didn't regret her words. For the first time in years, she felt like she was finally putting herself first. A few days later, Sarah called. "Mom, I heard what happened with Mark," she said, her voice laced with frustration. "He's been telling me you've stopped helping. We don't know what we're going to do. We thought we could rely on you for support, especially with the kids and everything." Ellen felt her blood run cold. The same entitlement, the same assumption that she was there to take care of everything.
"I'm sorry, Sarah.
But I can't do it anymore. I've been giving to you both for so long, and it's cost me everything. It's time for you to figure things out on your own." The silence on the other end of the line was thick with disbelief. But Mom, we need you," Sarah said, her voice cracking. "We don't have anyone else. What if something happens? Who's going to help us?" Ellen swallowed the lump in her throat. "I've always helped. I've always been there. But now I need to think about myself. I've spent so much of my life making sure you both had everything you needed, but I've neglected myself. That's over now." She heard a heavy sigh from Sarah. "I don't know what to say." "I know," Ellen replied softly. "And you don't need to say anything.
Just understand that this is the best thing for me."
I can't keep living for you. It's time to live for myself." The conversation ended soon after, with Sarah promising to figure things out. But Ellen knew things had changed forever. She wasn't angry, just tired of being the one everyone leaned on, while they took and took without ever thinking of what she might need in return. She had spent her entire life being the heart of her family, but now, it was time to put that heart into herself. A few weeks later, Ellen made an appointment with a travel agent to plan a trip she'd always dreamed of. She would visit Paris, the city of light, and take the time to enjoy her hard-earned retirement. For the first time in years, she smiled at the thought of what was to come, knowing that her future would no longer be defined by the needs of others. She had given everything to her family. Now it was time to give to herself. This version of the Heartless Request expands on the emotions Ellen is feeling as she finally confronts the reality of how her children have been exploiting her for years. It delves deeper into her thought process as she navigates the guilt and realization that she needs to set boundaries for her own well-being.